Hello YouTube, it's your boy B3 back another B3 Reads! I know I keep saying I'm gonna start dinosaur erotica again, and then I never do it, but I only really have time and stuff for a short one today. And I recently did a video about why I think creepypasta sucks ass. And I added it to the B3 Reads playlist to make it easier to find for you B3 Reads fans. And in it I tell the story about someone who contacted me on Twitter and said, "Hey, will you narrate my creepypasta?" And I said, "Sure, but I want to read it first to make sure it's good. I'm just going to do the narration. No other work for you. You have to do the editing and releasing it all yourself. And I want a shout out at the end and in the description pimping out my channel as well." Didn't ask for money. I was like, whatever. Just one creator helping another creator out. I don't know why Godzilla's here. I just filmed 3 Godzilla vlogs, so I guess he's just hanging around. And then this Twitter user was like, "Oh no. Not only do I expect you to read it and record the narration, you're going to edit the sound, add the sound effects, creepy music, all that stuff. You're going to edit the video. You're going to post it on your YouTube channel. And you're just going to do all this to pimp out my writing for free." So I obviously turned him down. Like, if you're not going to offer to pay someone, don't demand that of them. Do not ask that of someone if you are not going to pay them cash. But I wouldn't have done it anyways because I read the creepypasta and it sucked. It really sucked. And so I thought, you know what? If this motherfucker wants me to read his creepypasta so badly, I will. But I'm gonna mock it the whole damn time. So, here's this guy's creepypasta. His name, it says Ula Shy. And somehow, this garbage story has an 8.94 out of 10 on this creepypasta website he posted it on. It's got a huge high rating. It's got 34 votes on it, and that's a high rating. What the fuck? This is a garbage story. Anyways, I'm gonna read it, so buckle the fuck up. My friend and I always used to walk through a wonderful, spacious park when we were younger. It was full of tall trees, and it was very nicely maintained. In this large park, there was an abandoned mansion. Weird that it would be in a public park, but okay, it's possible. I can't really say how long it had been there, but on that day the front door of the mansion was wide open. The two of us decided to check out what was inside the place. As we inched through the door, the first thing we noticed was that the mansion's floor was littered with crumpled up pieces of paper. We looked at each other and observed that there was no furniture. Nothing except for those wrinkled balls of paper. The mansion had 6 rooms on its main floor, and every room we entered bore more and more scrunched up pieces of paper. This is called Crunched Up Paper House, by the way, which is also kind of a dumb title, but whatever. It's like I don't care about this piece so much that I forgot to even give you the title. But we decided to open up one of the paper balls to see what was inside. Our curiosity got the better of us. I picked up a single wrinkled piece, and as my friend picked up another, I unfolded my paper, smoothing out its bends and dents. You might think, oh, their writing's not too bad at this point. They're being descriptive. You haven't made fun of punctuation or capitalization. That comes later, trust me. At that moment, it was almost as if a piece of a rainbow emerged before our eyes, and I was suddenly standing next to a large window in one of the upstairs rooms of the house. I was looking outside onto the large park when I looked down at the piece of paper I held. It read, "Look outside the large window that oversees the park in the upstairs parlor." I dropped the piece of paper and it fluttered gracefully to the ground. Meanwhile, I stared at my open hands in a bout of horror. Okay, he stares at his hands in a bout of horror? What was horrifying about that? You had a little lapse of memory and you're like, oh man, damn, that was weird. That's about all that would get from almost anyone. Not drop the paper and go, what am I? This fucking bullshit, man. Dazed and utterly perplexed, I found my way downstairs and met up with a friend. He was in the kitchen, sitting at a round table that hadn't been there before. Ooh, a table appeared! I'm sorry. Where did that come from, I wondered. Now the punctuation's not correct. My friend stared at his opened paper and reread the words several times before he looked at me and turned the page my way. It said, go to the kitchen and sit at the round table. We stared at each other for a few moments, vaguely afraid, but then we began to chuckle. Within seconds we were laughing our heads off, marveling at our newfound game. We could hardly believe what had happened, but being young as we were, the mystery was endlessly exciting. We decided again to open another scrunched-up piece of paper. As we opened the crumpled paper on the floor, we experienced the same sudden flash of rainbow colors, but this time I ended lying down in the field behind the mansion. I think the word up is missing. Just saying. When I peered onto the paper in my right hand, it read, lie down in the field behind the mansion. I giggled uncontrollably. Last time he was so horrified his hands shook and he could just stare at them, and now he's giggling uncontrollably. After a few minutes of running around the house, I found my friend collecting multiple balls of paper in his arms, eager to experience more of these strange, exciting phenomena. And then there's like 20 spaces between the paragraphs. Why? We both got the gist of what was happening at this point. We had no idea as to how it was possible, but we decided to have more fun with it. The supernatural always had a way of captivating our hearts. After a few more run-throughs with these strange mini-teleportation devices, I began to feel apprehensive. I wondered if, at one point, I would be placed somewhere I didn't want to be, or I'd be made to do something I didn't enjoy. By the way, if you haven't already figured out where this super predictable story is going, that sentence should have told you what's going to happen. That should have told you the climax right away. It's not subtle. It's a very obvious story. We know what's going to happen. We continued, though. Minute after minute, we unfolded many papers and traveled through bedrooms, closets, trees. Okay, so I guess it took them out back into the park and had them get in a tree. But then, after having been on the roof of the mansion, I stood before my friend, dead on the living room floor. Didn't see that shit coming. I didn't scream. I couldn't. Murder him, I read on my crumpled page, as I felt a surge of vomit and bile rising into my throat. I bet this kid doesn't even know what bile is. Just saying. Nothing came out but the sickness in my throat spread to my stomach, my head, and my heart. I didn't know what to do. At this point, I began to scream and shout. Praying to God for this to be a nightmare, I wanted it to go away, much as I want this story to end. I wanted to rewind our day and be outside again, together, walking underneath the trees. Hand in hand and dick in mouth. I made that part up. All I could do was hide his body in a cupboard. I willed myself to be calm, and I hesitantly unfolded another paper in the hopes that the problem would correct itself. Once again, I saw the colors of the rainbow, and I found myself standing behind a tree several meters away from the house. I could clearly see the front door. Within a few instants, I saw both myself and my friend walk through that door. I began to wonder if I had died or if I was having an out-of-body experience. I looked at the sheet in my hand, and the only words scrawled upon it were, capitalization is not correct here, time will repeat itself and a paradox will take place and it will be allowed. what a shitty sentence. Oh my god. That gave me an idea. In my pocket remained the paper that made me kill my friend. Without looking at it, I crumpled it back up. Quietly I followed my other self, who had separated from my friend, as he explored the rooms of the house. As I crept behind him, he turned around very suddenly. Before he could utter a syllable, I forced the paper in front of my eyes, and in a flash of rainbow colors, I was able to kill my other self. The laws of time allowed me to take over my dead self's place. The laws of time. In this world, and also because of the fact that it was allowed to happen as it was written on the second piece of paper that I had on me, which reversed time. What an awful garbage run-on sentence. Shitty. The author was like afraid no one would accept this fake story, so he had to like over-explain the paradox, but also didn't explain anything at all. I must have control over time and paradoxes, which made me now the new alive and present of my other dead self. Thanks for over-explaining that even further, you dumb piece of shit. I hid my limp, bleeding other dead self in a cupboard in the upstairs bathroom to rot. To my great relief, I heard my friend call my name from downstairs. My friend who managed to stay alive and well. My best friend. When I went downstairs, he greeted me excitedly, smiling childishly and blissfully unaware of the situation. I pretended that nothing had happened in a heartbeat. I told him that the house creeped me out and that I would be much better if we left. After that day, we never went near the mansion again. I don't know if anyone saw or heard about anything that happened between us, but I recently heard from another friend that the house had been demolished. And I can tell you with great certainty that while this news is a relief, I dreaded the possible prospect that my corpse was uncovered in the bathroom cabinet. Credit, Ulashai. So, this is bad for many reasons. One, it's just a straight up bad story. A little thing I want to point out. So every time they re-look at the papers, it doesn't make them perform the action a second time. So why could he do the murder a second time? And also, if his intention was to kill his other self, why did he need to look at the paper to do it? Couldn't he just have chosen to murder himself? That actually would have been a bit more compelling because he would have had to struggle with the emotions of killing himself, where when the paper makes him do it, he feels nothing. You know? Why didn't he just kill himself? Why did he have to do the paper? Oh, maybe the paper works because it's crumpled up and then it kind of resets and then you can look at it again. But they don't explain that. And it's real dumb. Creepypastas are just stupid. And this one, he like gets out of everything with little to no trauma at all. I don't want fucking happy ending horror stories, man. I don't like happy ending horror stories. It's not horrifying if you can easily get out of it, you know what I mean? They, at the very least, need to be traumatized for life at the end of it. Like, that's enough for me. Godzilla's here. Hey, what up? But this is so stupid. The paradox thing was so dumb. He should have just killed his friend, and then it ended there. He should have just killed his friend, hid the body, and got the fuck out of there. And then lived his whole life afraid that someone would find out and blame him for the death of his best friend. That would have been enough. That would have been a better story. The thing about creepypastas is, someone brought this point up to me recently. I didn't really think about it before when I made my Creepypasta Sucks video, but this is a point I would like to add. The creepypasta format is not scary unless it's relatively realistic. If it's not something that you could kind of believe is true, then it's not going to be scary, because creepypastas are supposed to be like true stories. And even in the creepypasta like Reddit, because I was looking for other bad creepypastas to read. I didn't find any that I especially wanted to read more than this one. But everyone in the creepypasta Reddit is like in character. Like they're all role-playing. And they're like, whoa, I can't believe this really happened. Blah, blah, blah. Everyone's pretending they think every story in that subreddit's real. And when you're like traveling through time because a piece of paper had a bad run-on sentence on it, and then You hold up a piece of paper to make you kill yourself, even though you chose to kill yourself, so why do you have to use the paper to do it? The whole thing's bad. If this person, I don't know if it's a guy or gal, because the Twitter account they messaged me with had like 0 information on it. It doesn't even have a picture. And if you scroll through the tweets, it's just them promoting their stories, their creepypastas, and begging people to narrate them. That's the whole Twitter. But there's no there's no picture or anything. It's bad and it's dumb. Just like creepypastas. So I guess it fits. But that's it. Thank you all very much for your support. Remember to rate, comment, subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below. Facebook, Twitter, etc. If you want more creepypasta on B3 Reads, let me know. And if you guys want to send me stories for B3 Reads, send them to me on Twitter at B3 Productions. Because I really want to do stories that I feel like y'all are interested in. Because I'm looking at stories and I'm like there's a Kamen Rider fan fiction I'm going to read soon. But how many of you are into Kamen Rider? That's something I want to read for me mostly. But I want to do stuff that you all want to hear. So hit me up with some dank creepypastas, fan fictions, all that stuff. And if there's anything I have to pay for that you want me to read, we do have a Patreon. If you support our Patreon, there's lots of original content on Patreon. I've been posting a lot of videos on Patreon recently. There's an exclusive G&G on Patreon. We're going to have an entire G&G show that'll be exclusive to Patreon. Hit that notification bell. All that junk. Godzilla is here. I am here! And that's it. Thank you all once again, and I'll see you all next time. Creepypasta's bad.